dance, taking a chance. Telling me to dance, taking a chance.
I love our little happy jazzy.
I love our beginning. It's all due to Diana.
Yes, it's like our theme song now, you know? It's like
Yeah, I agree.
Totally our theme.
Maybe next year I'll update some photos or something because I've been looking at that
like
for a while.
Stupid little top knot, and I'm like, oh God.
And look how long and beautiful your hair is. So yeah, we need to get some modern images in there.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to the Isn't It Romantic Book Club. We are beaming in live to tons of places. We're here in the Isn't It Romantic Book Club. We're beaming in live to YouTube, Team Source Books, Jenny's Page Turners, My Dangerously Dark Darlings. So we are in a lot of places tonight. So first off, we're talking about the Gossip and the Grump. And number one, that's the cutest title. The cover was so cute. The book was cute. It was just super fun, the whole book. So I can't wait to talk to Pippa about it. So just a couple housekeeping things. If you're watching, if you leave a comment, we're on StreamYard and you're watching on Facebook, and StreamYard and Facebook aren't meshing perfectly. So a lot of times when you leave a comment, it won't tell us your name. It'll just say Facebook user. So if after you type your comment, if you just want to type your name at the end of your comment, that really helps us a lot. So we can actually say it's you and not just Facebook user. Also, we love hearing where you're from. So if you're from anywhere, of course, just tell us where you're from. We just love hearing about it. We get a kick out of just knowing where everybody's at. So I'm Abbie Roads. I write dark romantic thrillers. I tell people to think like an episode of Criminal Minds meets a love story with a twist. And I have a little stack of books. Of course, they're not in order. I should have shuffled them before. Okay, so there's Dangerous Dreams and Broken Dreams and Shattered Dreams, and the newest ones are Defying Evil and Capturing Fate.
So, such great covers. We love those covers.
Thank you. Who's next?
Okay, I think I'm up. My name is Sharon Wray. I write a bunch of different things, but I write romantic suspense, but with sexy green berets, but with really smart heroines. They solve Dan Brownish kind of mysteries. But I also write contemporary romance in novella form. And my newest one, so excited to see him. Isn't he cute?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Yes, it just came out on Tuesday. So, and they're short Christmas stories, about 15,000 words. So you can read them with a cup of tea. So, Diana?
Congratulations on your release.
Oh,
that's excellent. My name is Diana Muñoz Stewart. I write romantic suspense for the strong of heart. My upcoming, the final one in my Spy Makers Guild series is Daring Honor. You can see that. That is coming out on Halloween. So it's almost here. I'm so excited. And the other ones you can see floating around back there.
Nice. Well, hi, everybody. I'm Jennie Marts. I write small town stories with humor and heart. I write a lot of hot cowboys. So hockey playing cowboys, horse rescuing cowboys. I also write cozy mysteries. A couple of my different series here. I'm super duper excited because I just had 2 books. I did not plan it this way, but I just had 2 books come out within 2 weeks of each other. Both hot cowboys. So Love at First Cowboy is available in Kindle Unlimited, and A Cowboy Country Christmas is available everywhere. You'll find it in your grocery stores right now. So super excited about both of these books. They all have my trademark witty banter and lots of animal antics in them, which is just as a perfect segue into our guest for this evening, because she also is great at putting in fun animal antics. I think her books have had a llama, aardvark, maybe, anteater. I don't know what that thing is. That's one of her symbols. She'll have to tell us what that thing is. I think it's an aardvark. Anyway, we're super excited. Pippa Grant is our guest tonight. She has been a friend of mine for well over a decade. We kind of started some of this together. Super excited that she's here. She is a USA Today and a #1 Amazon best-selling author. That means #1 in all of Amazon, folks. Who writes romantic comedies. What? Oh, I thought
That was just an echo.
I thought that was some cheering or something. She writes romantic comedies that will make tears run down your leg. We all know what that means. When she's not reading, writing, or sleeping, she is being crowned Employee of the Month as a stay-at-home mom and housewife trying to prepare her adorable demon spawn to be productive members of society, all the while fantasizing about long walks on the beach with hot chocolate chip cookies. Oh, we all fantasize about that. Welcome, Pippa Grant.
Hey. Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh,
We're so glad you came on.
We're so excited for tonight.
Yay.
So start out and tell us about your book. So we all read The Gossip and The Grump, but you tell our readers like what it's about. Give us a little quick.
So The Gossip and the Grump is book 2 in my 3 BFFs and a Wedding series, which started with a love story at a destination wedding in Hawaii, where there was this is not about The Gossip and the Grump, sorry. I tell the long version.
No,
okay.
love it. Go
We've
ahead.
got an hour.
Yeah,
We've got an hour. Keep going.
Book number 1 was about characters who grew up together, the brother of the bride and one of the bridesmaids who ended up in an only one bed situation. And she was asked to babysit him because he was annoying the groom, and they fell in love. And so we meet Sabrina, who is the heroine of The Gossip and the Grump in The Worst Wedding Date, which is the first book. And Sabrina is a gossip. But I have to preface this with my entire relationship with gossip changed after I started listening to the podcast Normal Gossip. Have you guys heard of it?
No.
Oh, it's so it's so funny. It's just basically like stories from the real world that are sent into the podcast, and they anonymize them so that, like, if somebody was telling us about like drama that happens behind the scenes at Isn't It Romantic Book Club, right? Like they would like anonymize it so that they wouldn't know they were talking about you. But it's like harmless gossip about real people that just makes you go, oh, no, oh my God, did that really happen? And it
Wow.
just it fuels my storytelling centers. It makes me happy. And I realized that like, there's a lot of times that we gossip in real life and it's like for a good reason, right? Like we'll like use the Whisper Network and be like, so something, and like something bad happened, right? And you don't want to say it out loud, but you do want people to be aware of it, or you want to be aware that like someone is dangerous or someone is doing a bad thing, or sometimes you just want to tell a funny story and you don't want to say it out loud because you know that somebody could be embarrassed. So anyway, I embrace gossip, but like Sabrina in The Gossip and the Grump, I try to do it responsibly without hurting anyone. And that's the whole entire point. So this is a small town romance. She knows everything. I just dropped my book. She knows she knows everything that's going on, and she works at her family's cafe, except she has just discovered that her cousin, who was the groom in the previous book, and who, sorry, spoiler alert, gets stood up at the altar by the bride, who will get a book soon. He has sold the family cafe out from underneath everybody. And she was literally born in the cafe. Like, this is her life mission.
That's so funny.
Yeah. And she doesn't realize it, but like the really hot guy that she had a one night stand with after the wedding fell apart in The Worst Wedding Date, he's her new boss. And so he is there to completely destroy it and gut it because he hates her cousin. And she is trying to save her family cafe. So that is the basic setup of the book, told in 34 million words. Rather than like 7.
Yeah. Just to make a long story longer.
Right?
I say that all the
good
time.
at that. Yeah, so it's a small town. It's been described as like Gossip Girl goes to Stars Hollow if you follow Gilmore Girls. And
That's a great description. Yeah, great description.
And I've only watched a little bit of Gossip Girls and I've only watched a little bit of Gilmore Girls, so somebody had to explain it to me and I was like, oh, that's really cool.
I have watched both excessively.
Yay.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of Gilmore Girls. I've watched all of them. So
Aww.
So there's a really important character in this book that you should tell all the readers about, named Jitter.
Jitter, my sweet Saint German Bernard. My goodness, you guys have got me on a day when all my words are working. No, so Jitter is a Saint Bernard. He is Sabrina's dog. One of the things that I love about Jitter is that he is massive, and Sabrina is a small woman. So her dog is basically nearly bigger than she is. But Jitter has such a big heart, and like he just understands when people need him, even if they're people that Sabrina doesn't happen to like. Jitter's like, this guy needs me right now, and that guy often tends to be Gray, who is Sabrina's hero. And so Jitter kind of plays matchmaker throughout the book, and I just love him.
He's great at it.
He's such a good dog.
He's a natural.
And if you listen to the audiobook, you get to hear Jason Clarke reading a scene from Jitter's point of view where he gets to meet one of the cats that was in The Worst Wedding Date. And it's very funny.
It is cute. It is very cute.
So
Yeah,
Abbie often listens to the audiobooks. Did you listen to the audiobook of this one, Abbie?
I did listen to the audiobook, and whoever does Gray in there, oh my gosh, his voice.
Jason Clarke. I hadn't had Jason Clarke do one of my audiobooks in 2 or 3 years, and when his schedule worked out so that he could do this, I was so excited because he's one of my very, very favorites. Very favorites. And he's just great to work with. And I got to meet him in person a few years ago, which was really fun at a signing, and I just think he's amazing. So I was super excited he was able to do this.
I agree. And it's funny because it's like one of those ones where it's so easy to fall. Like, he's just Gray. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that he's Gray. And if anybody ever tried to make noises as Gray, wouldn't be it Gray because he's Gray. You know?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
One of the things I loved about Gray was that he was grumpy, yes, but he had reasons to be grumpy, but he was also like gentle and kind, and the whole thing with his grandmother. So how do you find the right balance when you're creating a character that's supposed to be a little, grumpy?
It's a gut thing. It's definitely, I gut check myself. And I sometimes get it wrong, and then I have a couple of layers of editorial in there who will help me out. But it's all about how do I know where the story is going? How grumpy can I make this character before I lose the reader? Like, can I go grumpier? Can I not go grumpier? And it's just at this point, I've been writing for about 20 years now, and I go by gut. So I don't know that helps anybody.
No, that's and I think the addition of Jitter actually did help the grumpiness too, because even when he's being grumpy, he was like, "Oh, you're such a good boy,"
Yeah.
So
yeah. Oh, it's hard to not love the animals in the stories. It's like you just always root for a character when they're nice to the animals. And
do you have an aardvark, or did I just make that up?
I don't have an aardvark.
In Jenny's next book, there's going to be an aardvark.
I'm trying to figure out which animal that would have been. We haven't.
I thought there was one of your like in your merchandise. Maybe it's a hot dog or. Oh,
I do have. Yeah,
how are you confused?
I have
a hot dog and an aardvark, Jenny.
I have a rocket-powered bratwurst. This is my mascot for my hockey team, the Thrusters. You see, he's a rocket-powered bratwurst. He's got his little jetpack there. Yeah.
Oh, cute.
That is awesome. Maybe I'm just confusing that with Texas Roadhouse.
When I think Pippa Grant, I think steak. I like it. I love a good steak. That's fabulous.
We can go back and edit that out. I don't know why I said that.
No, it's okay. Now I'm like, I need to write an aardvark.
You do a lot of fun animals in your books, right?
Yeah. I do. Lots of fun animals. There was an armadillo in Southern Fried Blues, which was my first book that I ever published.
That's what I'm talking about. Isn't an armadillo an aardvark?
No.
Wait, isn't your father a veterinarian?
Yeah, right.
And I think like your aunt, like I don't you come from a family.
Let's just put this in the blooper reels and pretend we didn't talk about it.
Poor Jenny's gonna get animal books for Christmas this year.
And
like the picture
encyclopedia
coloring book.
This is an aardvark.
Animals outside
and
of
this
Colorado.
Is an armadillo.
I was like, A. Oh, I did have an A animal. I did. It was an armadillo, and it was a long time ago, so I forgot. I feel old when I say it was a long time ago, but
But
it's
we've known
been-
each other a long, long time.
I know. I published my first book 10 years ago in August, and I published my
Wow.
first Pippa Grant book 6 years ago in like 3 days. So
Oh,
it's
Wow, that's
think
fantastic. So is
you're the
that normal for
story.
you, that kind of process to write things very quickly, or?
It was for a while. I have slowed down. When I first started writing as Pippa Grant, I wrote 19 books in 26 months. And I
Wow.
put myself into burnout, and it was ugly.
Wow.
Wow.
And you have 3 kids. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah.
It was
Wow.
there were a lot of hours of working, and it was a lot of dedication to being at the keyboard. And the good thing is I love writing. I have so much fun with it. So in a
Mhm.
lot of ways it didn't feel like work, but yeah, I look back on those days and I'm like, I couldn't do that again.
So how did you find the
way.
balance? How did you find the right balance?
I don't think I had balance. And I did. At the end of that 2 years, I burned out really hardcore. And now I am a 3 to 4 book a year writer. And if I could slow down a little, I would. But I like having 3 to 4 releases a year. So I'll keep doing that for as long as my brain and my body and my family let me.
So tell
Wow,
us a
that's
little bit
fantastic.
about, I think there's a story behind Mr. McCarty that involves thought of it in the shower or something like that.
There is. Mhm.
So kind of tell us about how the whole Pippa verse came about, and
This
what
is-
made you decide just to sort of change up your whole life, your whole persona. Tell us about
Oh, Jenny, you were with me when this
I know, but
happened.
tell everybody else about
Yeah. So my husband spent 20 years in the military, and we've been married for 22. So I was with him before the military, and now after military in retirement. And in 2017, we moved from the Washington, D.C. area where I knew Sharon to Dayton, Ohio. And during the move, I was getting frustrated because my first pen name had found some success, but it was like I was putting so much time and energy and effort into it, and it wasn't giving my family any appreciable returns. And I was very frustrated by that because, when you put your heart and your soul into something for 40 to 60 hours a week and you feel like it's just not going anywhere, that's hard. So my kids were 4, 6, and 9. Our time in DC, it was just very fast paced. And I loved living in DC because the people were just incredible. Like Sharon, that's where I met you, and a whole lot of other people who just they've stayed in my heart and in my life, even though I have physically left there. So it was a good time, but it was a lot of running kids from my daughter would go to one school, my middle kid would go to another, and my oldest to another, and all of that running in the Beltway was just a lot. So by the time we got to Dayton, I was burnt out and I was tired, and I started looking at what was trending on the charts, and it was nothing like what I was writing at all. And that was a time when, to go into a little bit of business side of things, there was some really not cool things happening on the Amazon platform because people were cheating the system, and Kindle Unlimited was stuffing a whole lot of books in the back. And there were rumors that there was ghostwriting mills and marketing mills. And it was just a tough time to feel energized and excited about writing and chasing the top. Not that I was anywhere near it, just because it felt so impossible to break through what other people had built with means that I would never embrace or use. And so I started reading for fun again. I spent a lot of time painting my walls. You're getting the long-winded version.
That's all right.
I love it.
We're all in.
Yeah.
And then I read the book Right to Market by Chris Fox, which is basically talking about how you need to find where what you love meets what the market wants. When you find that intersection, it's magic. And I realized the thing that my books had been missing were tropes. And so one morning I was in the shower, and honestly, the state of things made me mad because my books had been nominated for awards, and I put a whole lot of effort into them, and I made sure they were edited really well. And I just have a super high standard for myself. So I was just mad. And I was in the shower one morning. I was just fuming, and I was like, fine. If people want a brother's best friend, enemies to lovers, billionaire boss romance, then I will write that book. And as I was standing there, like yelling in my head to myself, like the entire blurb for Mr. McCarty popped into my head, and I leapt out of the shower. I wrapped myself in a towel. I ran downstairs past my family. I freaked my kids out, but my husband, thankfully, has known me and witnessed this a lot. He was like, "It's okay, guys. It's okay. Mom just got an idea." So I ran straight to my computer. I typed out the blurb. I sent it to my editor, and I was like, because she had been doing a lot of research with me to figure out like what was it about those books on top that were really appealing to readers, and what were they doing right that was trending. And so I was like, I'm going to write this. And she said, good, write it. And 3 weeks later, I had a 45,000 word book, and she said, now you have to publish it. And I was like, so my husband's whole office knows my pen name, and you did just read that elevator sex scene, right? And she was like, yeah, you need a pen name. I said, I do need a pen name. And so after a lot of like research and a lot of like my own personal version of how, like, we spent probably 3 or 4 weeks with the two of us throwing names back and forth and making sure it wasn't too similar to somebody else's, and making sure that you could get like firstnamelastname.com, and making just like all, and like making sure that there wasn't actually like someone named Pippa Grant who was a serial killer. Like those are all of the like, or a stripper, right? I mean, that wouldn't be so bad.
You know, there is an Abbie Roads porn star, unfortunately.
Is there?
There really is.
Yeah, so it's like, that's why it's so important to like Google.
Yeah.
And is it a bad thing? I don't know. It's just a thing, right? But I did like so much research to just find the right name, and then we just went from there. As soon as I found out I'd get firstnamelastname.com, I was like, this one's done. This one's done. This is what we're going with. And then I was like, I'm not British. Nobody's going to believe this. But Mr. McCarty came out on October 30th, I believe, 2017. And it like, it's a funny book. It's me completely unplugged. And I had a lot of fun writing it.
Oh.
And now 6 years later, it's been just an amazing, fun journey. And I am so glad to be here. So.
Pippa, and you did some really smart stuff with like coming up with your whole brand ahead of time. So you had your branded colors, your branded fonts. Like,
I made a lot of mistakes with my first pen name that I corrected with my second. Yeah, I was very strategic. Like the newsletter, I knew I wanted to send it once a week, but I knew I wanted it to have value in it. So I want it, when someone opens their Pipster report, I don't want it to just be, hey, read my book. I want it to be, hey, this is how my week has been. Do you want to hear from some of the characters in some of my books? Would you like me to give you advice on something? Right into my advice column. Like, here's a recipe that I personally happen to love, you know, just a little something extra. And so I put a lot of effort into really nailing the branding from the beginning.
And do you still put a newsletter out once a week?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I do want to say I am incredibly fortunate in that the best PA in the whole entire world fell into my lap about 3 months into my journey as Pippa. She just popped into my inbox one day and she said, hey, I'm in your reader group. Can I post things in there just to get engagement up? And I was like, yes, please, because you don't say no. When somebody says, hey, can I post in your group and like get reader engagement up? You say yes. And then about a month later, I had another new release, and she said, can I plan a release party for you? And I said, yes. And then the next month she was like, can I plan a release party for this next new release? And I was like, do you do paid PA work? And she said, yes. And she sent me her price list and what she could do. And she came fully trained and she understood everything. And she was just absolutely fantastically amazing. And she puts my newsletter together for me every week. I still write the things that go in the newsletter, but she takes care, like she is my taskmaster. So she'll be like, hey, Pippa, come on. Your stuff is due to me. We gotta, it's time to put your newsletter out. So I have a lot of help with all the administrative stuff that I do behind the scenes. And I've been so grateful for it because I couldn't do what I do without the support team that I have behind me. They are fabulous.
Wow.
And does your husband help too?
Yeah, he does. He's not as involved as some other like romance author husbands are. He's sort of on the fringes. I will bounce ideas off of him. I will, like, we talk about financial stuff from time to time. He'll sneak outside my door and record me when I'm writing, because sometimes I laugh really, really hard. I'll finish writing and I'll have a text message from him to me and both of my assistants. It's just a voice recording of me cackling at my own writing. But he will help when I do sign book orders. He'll take stuff to the post office for me, and just little things here and there. Like, he doesn't run my ads. He's not involved day to day, but he does help out here and there.
So, and do you have the same schedule every day? You get up at a certain time and I mean, obviously with the kids, but do you write at a certain time? And
I try to. And now that he's retired, he's in charge of getting the kids to school in the morning. So I get up at 5, I make myself tea, and I'm usually sitting down to write between 5:30 and 6 on a writing day.
wow.
And I'm not an everyday writer. That just doesn't work for my brain. My brain needs a break. It's like it just spits out a whole lot of things, and then I need a pause for, like, the back of my brain to really mull over, well, what comes next? And on those days, since we moved to Colorado, I will go split wood for our fireplace.
Wow.
And that's my favorite. For my last book release, my husband got me a present. He doesn't do this for all of them, but he got me a Viking wood splitting sword.
Who knew there was such a thing?
I know. It is so heavy. I can. It's like, it's heavy and it's sharp, and so it works really well. But I have yet to really, like, get my technique. Thank you. Yes, that word. All my words leave me by about this time of the day. No,
And is the Viking sword going in your next book?
Not yet, but I will find a way. I will find a way to use the Viking wood splitting sword. It's pretty epic.
Good.
So we've got a couple questions from the comments. The first one is, do you read the same genre that you write in?
I don't actually read a whole lot, but when I do, I like to read rom-coms. And the reason I don't read a lot is that it feels like work, and I hate that. But I love watching funny TV shows and funny movies, and I will occasionally, and like police procedurals, I will watch those. I just streamed Will Trent, so
Oh yeah, I love
That was
that.
so cute.
yeah, and like I just finished Only Murders in the Building, and
Oh
so
yeah, that's a good
yeah.
So good.
but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, next question. What is your inspiration when you create a new character?
It varies. Like, sometimes I will just be out, like, you go to the grocery store and you see somebody, like you see a guy helping a kid, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, that is a vibe. I want to capture the vibe. When I wrote The Worst Wedding Date, which came before the Gossip and the Grump, Theo, the hero, was inspired 100% completely by a TikTok I saw of a guy who used his OnlyFans first paycheck to pay off his sister's student loans. And you have to see the video though, because you say "aw," but like you watch the video and it's a train wreck, and it's just like amazing, and there is a vibe, and I was like, that guy has hero vibes, but like that guy has Pippa Grant hero vibes. Let me specify. And in the end, like, Theo was nothing like the character that the guy. He was a real person. He was so different from that, but it was just that kernel of inspiration, like, led my brain to go whoop. Sort of like, I loved baseball when I was growing up. I grew up a diehard Chicago Cubs fan. Like, being alive in the year 2016 will always be one of my greatest accomplishments, because that's the year that the Cubs won the World Series. But just growing up a Cubs fan and loving baseball, I wanted to write a baseball series forever. So my inspiration came in the form of wanting to find baseball players, basically, to the point where even the last book in my baseball series, when they've finally gone from like the worst team in baseball to a team that could go all the way, that the last book was the hardest to write, because I knew who my hero was, but I needed inspiration for my heroine. And it came in the form of watching Taylor Swift's Miss Americana documentary on Netflix. And all of a sudden everything clicked. And I was like, that's why I haven't been able to write this book yet, because I was waiting for the right heroine to present itself to this fan anticipated hero. So yeah, I'm among those who have a Taylor Swift inspired
Very
romance
cool.
novel. It came out well over a year ago, I promise. Like, it's really weird though, because the only thing different between my hero and Travis Kelce is like the sport. My hero just has like that total like goofball, like good at what he does, sort of chill, like Travis Kelce vibe that I've seen from all the podcasts, which is just it gives me chills in like a creepy sort of way. But yeah, inspiration comes from everywhere.
And so someone wants to know, what is the favorite book that you've written? And I'm going to tack on to that. How many books have you written total at this point?
I think I've written somewhere around 45. I think most of them are published. I think that's like a good rough estimate.
Okay.
My favorite book that I have written, I don't usually pick a favorite, but I'm going to tonight. And I am in the process of writing the favorite book that I have ever written. And it's going to come out in April. And I have not laughed this hard writing a book in such a long time. And I have not loved characters the way that I love these two in such a long time. And I love all of my characters and I laugh at all of my books. So this book is special.
Could this be the next book in the series?
No.
Oh, okay.
I should be like, yes, that one. No, that one's fantastic too. That one's fabulous. I literally just sent it to the narrators today, and I attached a note when I sent the third book in this series. So this is going to be a complete 3-book series. Like, it's done after this. It's a trilogy. It's about the 3 best friends, and that's it. Like, will I go back to Snaggletooth Creek where this is set at some point in the future? I definitely hope so, because there are other characters who need stories. But like right now, this is a self-contained series, and it will be complete when Emma's book comes out. But I sent it to the narrators. I know the male narrator. I've met him in real life, and he has done some of my books before. And he actually saw the sheet that I filled out that said who my dream narrators would be. And it was a Motlake title. And so I had said, I think you should get me Ryan Reynolds as my narrator. And I had no idea the narrator was going to see this, right? He did. And he was like, huh. You wanted Ryan Reynolds, huh? And so there is a scene. There is a scene in Emma's book where I'm trolling him for how much fun he made of me for wanting Ryan Reynolds to read the book. So like the whole book is awesome, but like just a little behind the scenes tidbit for you.
That's
like
so
there is
fun.
a scene, and when he reads it, like I'm like, I hope he doesn't back out of the whole thing. But no, that one's gonna be fun. But yeah, this next one, I'm going back to Copper Valley, which is the world where my Thrusters hockey team, my Fireballs baseball team, my Bro Code former boy band books are set all in the Copper Valley world. So I'm going back there, but it's brand new characters, and I'm in love. And that one will come out in April. Emma's book will be out in January, and this like current favorite book that I have ever written is going to come in April.
And is that going to start off a new series?
I don't know. I think that right now it's just going to stand on its own. It has potential to launch a new series, but it's low potential. I like to do the occasional standalone just to give people an easy place to enter my world, because my series are all interconnected. So the baseball players show up in my hockey books, like the hockey players show up in my boy band books. We've had a few shout outs to some of the boy band, I think, or maybe there was a shout out to somebody in this book, because this is set in Colorado and Copper Valley is in Southern Virginia. But they cross. Like, I just throw in the little Easter eggs. And so I think it's really, really good on occasion for me to just put out a book. It's all by itself so that readers have an easy entry point that isn't quite so overwhelming with keeping track of all the characters.
Can I share my fun little Easter egg? So one of my books shows up in a Pippa Grant book. One of her characters is reading Icing on the Date.
Which I remember that, but I don't remember which book it was. Do you remember which book it was?
It's Zeus and the pilot and the puck up.
The pilot and the puck up?
Yeah.
Yay.
And Zeus is reading Icing on the Date. So he is reading one of my books.
That's neat.
Yeah. And it's my fun little Pippa claim to fame. So I was going to ask about that, how the worlds kind of interconnect. So how many series, Pippa Grant series? individual
4,
series. Is there 7, 6, 7?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No.
But how many towns? There's the Copper.
There's Copper Valley. There's Snaggletooth Creek. The Last Eligible Billionaire is set all on its own. I've got a Royal Romance that sits elsewhere. Shipwreck is one of my
Shipwreck,
towns. Yeah. We've got a number of them. Oh, Tickled Pink. I forget the Montlake books sometimes. I've got the Tickled Pink. I shouldn't forget the Montlake books sometimes.
I love the name of your towns. Is it
Thank
hard
you.
to name towns?
Is it hard to name them? Yes.
You did a great job. I mean, it's so memorable.
It's so hard. Like, I'm never going to invent another town again because it's so hard to name it. I sent a note to my assistants about 2 months ago, and I was like, well, guys, it's been great knowing you. I cannot figure out the name of the hero and the heroine in this next book that I've been talking about wanting to write. So I guess I'm done because I can't just call them hero and heroine. I quit. We're done. We're out. Like, okay, Pippa. And then they endured a whole lot of me texting them and being like, what do you think of this name? What do you think of that name? What about this name? I was thinking about this one. And they were just infinitely patient with me. I was so grateful for it. And we found names. And my editor was joking, actually. She's like, well, is that a nickname? I think like this character should have that characteristic. And I was like, yeah, and her real name's going to be Jessica because my editor's real name is Jessica. And then I was like, hey, Jess. She's like, what? And I was like, I did it. And she's like, you did what? And I was like, I made her real name Jessica, but she goes by somebody else. And she's like, what are you talking about? So sometimes I troll
It's
my
so
own
important, the
editor.
character names, you know?
They
I mean,
are.
it changes how you see the character once you
Absolutely.
put that name on them.
It does.
So-
like in The Worst Wedding Date, Theo was supposed to be Wade because Heart of Dixie. I loved Wade in Heart of Dixie. But he just didn't work as a Wade for me. So I was like 25,000 words in before I was like, no, I'm sorry, he's a Theo. And then everything worked so much better once I changed his name. And it sounds so neurotic to say that out loud, but it's so true.
No,
it's like when you
totally
name
get
the
it.
wrong name.
And
it
it's so funny because Pippa and I were big time Heart of Dixie fans, and we were both Team Wade back in the day 10 years ago. And I actually did name one of my characters Wade. So
I might still do it, Jenny.
Yeah.
We'll have
we were both Team Wade so hard back in the day.
Yeah. We'll have our Wade brother books.
Twin Wade.
One day.
Well, and Pippa, you mentioned in the back, the very end of this book, something about we have met the hero in Emma's book.
Mm-hmm.
Have we?
Back.
Oh, how did I miss that?
Anything?
I put some Easter eggs in, and when we reveal all, I'm being such a jerk. I'm like, not telling you anything.
I'm not going to say anything. I don't know. I mean, I made a list.
Did you really?
Didn't not include the dog. Just
it's one of those things that I was like, I think this was too subtle. And then I was also like, no, I don't think this was too subtle. And then people have made guesses, and the guesses have been all over the place. And I absolutely love it because I think it's fun. I think it's fun to solve a puzzle. Like, I am that person who my husband has told me he's not getting me Christmas presents anymore because I made the mistake of telling him one time that my favorite part of Christmas is the anticipation. I love like looking at that tree with all those presents underneath it and like just the magic and not knowing what's inside of there and knowing that it could be anything, like just the joy of the possibility, right? Like that gives me so much joy. That just like makes me light up. And he's like, so I could just like wrap some empty boxes for you. Happy? He was like, because I told him there's like almost a letdown on Christmas Day because like you love it and you're happy, but also like the joy of the anticipation is gone. So when it comes to things like who's Emma's hero, I'm like, I'm gonna let you enjoy the joy of anticipation a little bit longer. But
you mentioned puzzles. I love the fact that Gray does puzzles.
Yeah,
I love
that too. I thought that was so fun.
Yeah, and you know, in my mind, he does the same kind of puzzles I do, which Man, I gotta tell you, Instagram has me tagged. They give me the best ads ever. So there was one Christmas when it was like 6 Instagram things that had popped up that I just sent it to my husband. I'd be like, isn't this cool? And he got all of them for me. And one of them was a puzzle, and it's like super bright, super colorful, but the pieces are not your typical puzzle pieces. They're made of wood, and they're about a 1/4 inch thick, and it's cut with a fancy saw. So the pieces will be like, the puzzle piece will be a unicorn, or it will be Cinderella, or it will be just like a star and a heart. And like, there's other pieces that are just totally random, weird, funky shaped pieces, but like, it'll be a colorful thing that makes, when you put it all together, it's a big, pink, beautiful unicorn with like big, bold, bright colors. And I just love them. And in my mind, Gray does the same puzzles because that makes me feel closer to him and happy.
Oh, we've got a bunch more questions.
Okay.
Okay. Have you read or listened to any of your own books on Audible?
I don't narrate my own books. I actually am one of those people who I struggle to listen to my own words read back to me. So the only 2 books that I have fully listened to of my own are Master Baker, which we have retitled to be Dirty Talking Rival. I know readers hate it when you retitle books. We had to make a marketing decision. But yeah, I've listened to Dirty Talking Rival, and I listened to The Last Eligible Billionaire. I listened to both of them on audio, and it was a really, really neat experience to go back and revisit those worlds a long time after I wrote the book. Like, I need that space because it feels so weird to have someone else reading my words back to me. So
and for new readers, what books would you recommend that they start with to enter your worlds?
For a new reader, my best book to recommend is The Last Eligible Billionaire. It stands completely alone. It was my first book to hit #1 in the whole store. It is about the grumpiest of grumpy billionaires and the sunshiniest of sunshiny heroines who accidentally end up staying in his house when she thought it was an Airbnb and it wasn't, and he was being scammed by his former property manager. And it opens with it has a meat wax instead of a meat cute, and she's waxing her bits when they meet.
Wow.
And it turns into a fake dating situation because he just really wants to be alone because the poor guy has suffered hurt at the hands of love, and he just wants to be alone. And so he decides that instead of charging her damages to his house, he is going to make her be his fake girlfriend and get his mother and all of his meddly relatives off of his back. And it's just, I had the most fun writing that book. But it stands alone. So it's a really, really good entry point. Another fan favorite is Flirting with a Frenemy, which is a brother's best friend, enemies to lovers, forced proximity, fake wedding date book. And then The Worst Wedding Date is also a really good one to start with because The Worst Wedding Date, The Gossip and The Grump, and then Emma's book, it will be a complete trilogy and all done by January. So those are all 3 good options.
Great. We'll make sure we put those in the comments too, so that way other readers can
Thank you.
Can do that, can look at that. And do you listen to music while you write, or do you prefer things to be quiet?
I have
beverage.
And what I listen to in my favorite beverage. I have a subscription to the app brain.fm. So I basically just like listen to brainwave music when I'm writing. I'm sitting at my treadmill desk. I have a lift lower desk with a treadmill underneath it. And so I typically will walk while I'm writing, listening to my brain music and drinking my tea. And that's my habit. That's my pattern.
Wow.
Which is super impressive because I would fall down.
So I go slow, like the maximum. My treadmill desk is actually built to be a working walking desk. I burned out a treadmill one time because I went too slow on it for too long. So this is designed for like hours at a time of 1 to 2 miles an hour. So I top out at 2 miles an hour. And it takes me some practice to build up to that. If I haven't been on my treadmill desk in a while, I'll start at like around 1 mile an hour and just slowly work up. But I've been pretty good lately. Been pretty good.
But you type and walk and drink for an hour or 2 at a time?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I pause.
And chop wood and
Don't worry,
With
I'm
her
gonna go to my
Viking
doctor and she's
sword.
gonna be like, your cholesterol's still high and you need to exercise more. And I'm gonna be like, well, look at these guns. I chop wood. And she's gonna be like, that's not getting your heart rate up enough. But no, I do pause for potty breaks because my bladder is not what it was before 3 children. So it's not just like 3 straight hours on the treadmill, I promise.
And Chelsea just asked, what are your other hobbies besides reading and I guess chopping wood?
I don't think I have any. It's so weird when your hobby becomes your job, right? Because I have this weird thing where, because we spent 20 years in the military, we would move every couple of years, which meant that we would purge all of our belongings every couple of years, because you just want to, like, it doesn't even matter if the military hires the movers for you. You still have to touch everything in your house and put it away on the other side and figure out where it goes. And so I've always wanted to get into pottery, but pottery produces things. And I would feel really like you run out of people to give your ugly things to when you're learning to make them pretty. So like, this is a personal hang up that I'm just weird about. I'm like, that would be really fun thing to do and learn, but I don't know what I will do with the things that I create after I do it. So I'm in like my hobbies right now are mostly like puzzles and watching TV, and maybe our house came with a pool table, so I'll occasionally play pool with my kids. And that pretty much sums it up right now.
We were just talking about that the other day, because I was saying I think watercolor would be really fun. We used to do all these crafts, remember? Before we were writing like hardcore all the time, and we would do crafts. Remember those craft days? And I did some watercolors, and now I'm like, I think it would be fun to do watercolors, but where are you supposed to hang up all those watercolor things? Where are you supposed to hang those pictures?
Yep.
I guess you give them all your crappy pictures to your relatives. Hope it gave us an idea. Now we know what to do. Christmas gifts. That's what's going in those empty boxes. You're gonna send your husband a watercolor from Jennie.
He's gonna be like, this
go.
Jennie person sent me a package.
You should put it under your tree. Exactly.
Pippa, how many books are coming? Do you have next year? I know you've got one in January, one in April. Do you have anything else planned?
I want to have more planned, but my brain has not quite engaged yet. I should have something out next fall for sure. I don't know if I'll have something in the summer or not. I'm hoping to, and I'm planning to. But life, like the last year and a half, has just been like, whoo, curveball. So I've mostly learned to just go with the flow and hope for the best.
Yeah, and I have to say the teenage years are just busy.
Yeah.
Even though they might be driving, it's just there's just so much going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very true. And this year I had a breast cancer issue, and I'm fine. And I mention it only because it is October, and I want everybody to get their mammograms, because my journey was made so much easier by the fact that a mammogram caught it super, super early. So I was able to get by with the biopsy removed everything. And then I had a month of radiation and recovery, and I've got some hormonal treatments that they want me on for the next 5 years just to prevent it from coming back. But like, it's that sort of thing, like life has this way.
Yeah.
Tossing you a curveball. And like, I'm totally fine, but like, for real, get your mammograms.
Mine's scheduled in 2 weeks.
Good job, Jennie.
Yeah.
Yay. Good.
I have another friend like you. I have actually 2 other friends like you that just recently have gone through that. And so
I was, I'm in my mid 40s, and I was like, wait, what? I'm sorry, what? So it was a surprise. And it's just, please get your mammograms.
take care of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I have another question for you, and maybe this is kind of what we as writers like to know. I know that you kind of embraced ads.
Mm-hmm.
And what was your learning curve for that? And how did talk to us about your ad journey?
So I started using Facebook ads in 2015 at a time when, depending on the company you were in, people would tell you that if you had to use ads, you weren't a real writer. And to your face. I came to a realization that I could post on Facebook all day long and not boost anything, and my visibility would be limited to the people who knew who I was. And I realized if I wanted other people than just the people who already knew who I was to know who I was and to be interested in my books, that I had to find a new way to reach them. And Facebook ads was just the most natural thing for me to use at the time. Amazon advertising didn't really exist the way it does now back in 2015. So this was my pre-Pippa years that I was teaching myself Facebook ads. I actually have a computer engineering degree, so they were somewhat, the way they were set up was somewhat intuitive to my logical side. And I spent $5 on an ad on Super Bowl Sunday and I made $10 and I was like, oh, it worked. So I spent $7 the next day and I made 15 and I went, oh, it worked again. And so it was just a little bit of trial and error and figuring out like what sort of ad copy worked and what sort of images worked and which book was the best to advertise. Though in 2015, I only had, I think, 3 books to advertise, maybe 2. So it was just a learning process of figuring out, you know, if you're going to be in business, you have to find a way to reach new readers. You have to find a way to reach new readers. And for me, it just worked really well through the advertising. So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
If I left anything out, okay.
And are you still big into ads and BookBub ads and all the ads now? Because now there's like 5 places where we can do ads.
I had a BookBub in September, and I shouldn't say this, but the description made my heroine sound really, really harsh and hard, and readers just don't like that. And it was kind of a disappointing experience on my end, and it was a little rough. But like people still found the book, and that was great. I do still have Facebook ads running. I have Amazon ads running. I've been fortunate enough to find someone who will run my ads for me to free up my time so that I don't have to take all my time to do that on top of running. Because my first few Pippa years, it was releasing a book about every 6 weeks and running the ads and managing like cover creation and and uploading, and it was just a lot. It was a lot. So it's been really nice to be in a position where I found somebody who can do a lot of the administrative work for me too.
Oh, we have to talk about your book covers because I love the fact that you've got 2 different.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I do.
Don't you have that with several different books?
Yeah, I started doing this with The Last Eligible Billionaire, which came out a year and a half ago. It was like March 2022. What year is it? Yeah, it was 2022. It was a year and a half ago. And the reason I went with 2 different covers is because I have always done people on my covers, ever since always. So I was afraid to move away from people on the covers, but I had been watching trends and seeing that illustrated covers were becoming more and more popular. And the thing I started noticing was that illustrated covers seemed to be more popular with print readers. And so I decided that I would do an illustrated version for the print and the audio, and then offer a special edition of the cover that I put on the ebook through my website to get it signed through me. So I was trying to dip my toes into both ends, and I think it worked.
Which for the paperback, which has been more popular? Which cover?
It's hard to say because I only sell the suit cover through my website, and so that's got a smaller pool of readers who come and order it. And I don't have my print bookstore open all the time anymore, just for my own time management. But the illustrated print covers sell pretty well. It's a weird thing to judge because the books that had the illustrated covers on the print book did well, like better organically. They hit higher in the charts and they had longer staying power. But I don't know if it's because I offered a print version that was different, or if it was because I just had a book that finally hit the top. So it's hard to say like which one is more popular. just keep doing both because I like to please people, and it seems like that's a really good opportunity to give the people who like the different things all of what they want.
And how do you make the decision to recover and do a totally different thing?
Usually if I'm seeing sales dipping a little bit, or if a lot of times I will recover if I redid my thrusters books, right? And I love these. I'm gonna grab one. Haha. Yeah, they had guys on the cover, and now we got these fully 100% illustrated versions with colors that I just adore.
That's
And
the book my book is in.
This is the book that Jennie's mentioned in. So some of it is that there was inconsistencies in the fonts and of the titles throughout the series, and I like consistency, and that was just a product of when I was writing the series in the first place. I was writing so many books so quickly. I would write a hockey book, and then I would write a bro code book, and then I would write something else, like a spin-off book, you know. And so it was not consistent which series I was releasing in, and my cover artist wasn't always tracking like this book belongs with this series or that book belongs with this series. And so sometimes I'll recover just to bring some consistency in, especially with my girl band series. The covers did not cohesively look like a series when you put them together in that series carousel, and so we'll rebrand sometimes for that. And sometimes it's been a couple years and trends have changed and you want to try something different, or Amazon has told you that they really just don't like the man chest cover and you can't advertise on their platform. And so it's time to try something else and see if Amazon will let you advertise on their platform if you cover Mr. Hottie's nipples. So
I applaud your business savvy.
Oh, I do too.
You
are so smart.
Do we have any other? No, I don't think we have any other comments. But Pippa, people will watch this video over the next couple days, and they may leave.
Awesome.
So can just let you know about that. So
and we are beaming into several different. So the video is shown over several different groups and places that it's in.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you having me here so much. This has been fun.
Oh, well, thank you so much for stopping by. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
It was nice seeing you, and sorry that I mysteriously lost power. It was the craziest thing.
It's Halloween.
I lost internet, so it's always one of us.
Yeah, right. Exactly. We always have something going on.
One of those curveballs.
It was nice. Yeah, right. That was a very minor one compared to breast cancer, but yes. All right. Thank you so much. It's nice meeting you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pippa.
All right. So we're almost out of time.
So fast.
Well, I know. I can't believe it was
fast. She was delightful. She's just delightful. But now we're going to, do we have any group business to take care of before we announce our November read?
The only thing I would say is don't forget Secret Santa Days and my Abbie's Dangerously Dark Darlings is coming up, and the Isn't It Romantic Book Club, all of us will be there on Thursday, November 30th with the pre-game giveaway, which you do not want to miss.
Yep. Exactly. Well, then we'll be moderating all weekend, right?
Yep.
All right. We're looking forward to it. I love those days. It's so much fun.
Yeah. It's
definitely.
So our November read is A Cowboy Country Christmas by Jennie Marts.
I can't wait to read this book.
I know.
I'm so excited.
I just can't wait to read it. Well, Jennie and I did some critiquing. Oh, not critiquing, but like plotting.
Yeah.
Plotting. So I can't wait to figure out what happened.
Looking forward to
it. All of them. I pretty much used all of the ideas. So this book is available everywhere that books are sold. You can get it at Barnes & Noble. You can find it at the grocery stores. So
sounds
good.
All right.
I'm looking forward to talking to you guys about it.
All right. Good night, everyone.
All right. Bye.